Let's do a damn video essay / opinion piece. I mean, why not? A video in which I can just talk to myself in a room, shouting at a computer screen, presenting a point on a subject to which no one actually cares about. Sound fun? Let's do it. Recently, Matt Damon caused a stir, didn't he? After recently retiring, saying a homophobic slur as if we should all give him a congratulatory pat on the back for his incredible sacrifice. But hidden within this article was something even more sinister, brewing in its underbelly. Okay, not really, but the article about Matt Damon did bring something up a lot of superhero fans took a grievance with. The article in question by the Sunday Times claimed that whilst Iron Man was a successful film, anyone, and not just Robert Downey Jr., could have played that character, due to people being interested in the character and not the actor himself. The internet responded with a collective,
"Wrong, sir, wrong."
And I thought, do you know what? The statement is so dumb, I'm going to take time out of my day to read this article, write a script recording my thoughts, have a nap, and eventually edit a 10-minute long video calling you a dumbass. The Sunday Times article in question discusses how over the last 25 years, cinema has taken a step away from leading men like Jim Carrey, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, and Jack Nicholson to sell films, and focuses on established characters, mainly superheroes, in a way to bring audiences into cinemas, and goes on to say how anyone could have played Iron Man, claiming the character is more important to audiences than the actor. And that's the quote I want to focus on in this video, and discuss why not just any old bum off the streets could have played Iron Man, and why Downey Jr. is more important to audiences than the character. So as everyone knows, Marvel began their cinematic universe with their B-list characters. Very few people had ever heard of Iron Man or knew anything about that character. Starting off as a character which heavily supported the fight against communism, Tony Stark was an industrialist whose story was mostly about inventing and helping the American people. The character wasn't particularly two-dimensional and doesn't have many of the nuances seen today, and this is thanks in part to Downey Jr.'s take on the character. When Iron Man 2008 was released, very few people had a connection or even knew this character. I know when I stepped into the cinema at 14 years of age, I had never heard of Iron Man, but thanks in part to the Dark Knight's success and the fact this film looked good, I thought I would give this new superhero film a go. Of course, like many others, I loved this film, and this nothing character managed to spawn the most successful film franchise ever. And one of the biggest reasons this film works is thanks to Robert Downey Jr., who brought a nuance and different dimension to the character, reshaping Tony Stark to the modern way portraying him as a playboy alcoholic who has serious father issues and perhaps a twisted sense of morality. Tony Stark is cocky, arrogant, and most of all, selfish. All aspects Downey Jr. brought to the character. This wasn't the Tony Stark from Marvel Comics. This was a new version, and this helped to build a franchise upon. For this article to say audiences were interested in the character and not the actor, as anyone could have played this character, is just completely wrong. I couldn't see Matt Damon playing the character this way and audiences connecting with the Matt Damon Iron Man or the Tom Cruise Iron Man. If you think for a second, Tom Cruise was going to be Iron Man, and could you imagine the version of that character compared to the one we had today? And I truly believe audiences would have connected far better with Robert Downey Jr.'s version of him. The reason people go to cinemas to see this character now is because of Downey Jr.'s interpretation, who was able to elevate the character from B-list to the top of the A-list. And I think that's a testament to Marvel and Robert Downey Jr.'s talent as a performer to turn this character into one of the most well-known superheroes in the world. In my opinion, I think the article is likening Iron Man to Batman, a character which has always been in the public mind due to the character's consistent success over the past 50 years. And of course, with the new Robert Pattinson Batman, the majority of people are seeing the film because it's a Batman film, and people will see a Batman film. This is true of Iron Man today, and in all honesty, people don't go and see an Avengers film for Robert Downey Jr. They see the film for Iron Man, but the reason for this isn't because the character was established within Marvel Comics 60 years prior. It's because Robert Downey Jr. was able to elevate that character to heightened success, something most actors would not have been able to do. In 2008, if Iron Man was not a good film, it would have not been a financial success, as audiences were definitely not familiar with that character. This is different to, say, George Clooney's interpretation of Batman in Batman and Robin. That film was bad, but audiences saw that film because it was a Batman film and everyone's going to go see a Batman film. The reason for Iron Man's success is down to Robert Downey Jr., and this film was not a guaranteed success. In 2021, of course, an Iron Man film be a guaranteed success, but that's because the groundwork has been set for it to be a success. Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Iron Man had ripple effects with the character in Marvel Comics, and how we view superheroes today. Downey Jr.'s performance and star status was able to continue the early success of the MCU, before these films began to move away from their Starman and branch out to various other characters. The first Avengers film is an ensemble cast, but Robert Downey Jr. is front and center, and could be argued is the main character of the Avengers film, and original scripts had Robert Downey Jr. being the actual lead. And let's not forget, the beginning of the MCU, Iron Man was front and center for the start of its lifespan. His star power brought in audiences and established the franchise. If there was to be a reboot of the Iron Man franchise, I don't think a film with a recast Iron Man would be as successful as Robert Downey Jr. in the lead, although it would fare better than the 2008 film. Whilst characters like Spider-Man, Superman and Batman have had prior success to their solo films and would be successful with whoever played the character, Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr.'s success are one of the same. The character of Iron Man became a success thanks to Downey Jr.'s portrayal, and that character became a part of Robert Downey Jr. However, as the years have progressed, people are more interested in the story of Iron Man within the MCU. However, it cannot be forgotten that audience interest in that character came from Robert Downey Jr.'s star power and fantastic performance. And this is why not just anyone could have played that character, as the Sunday Times suggested. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. I've been doing as many videos lately and I will try and do a few more. I'm going to try and keep live streaming on this channel, as I think that's a cool way to put out content and my opinions on all the media being released currently. And please do subscribe and like the video and whatnot, and I'll probably see you in another video. Goodbye.